Good morning. I'll invite the second elected member from the District of Georgetown to say prayers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech Thee to so direct and prosper the deliberations of the Legislative Assembly now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations for the glory of Thy name and for the safety, honour, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Charles, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. Give grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, that peace and happiness, truth and justice, religion and piety may be established among us. Especially we pray for the Governor of our islands, the Premier, the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, the Leader of the Opposition, Ministers of the Cabinet, ex officio members, and members of the Legislative Assembly, that we may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of our high office. All this we ask for Thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be Thy name. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless and keep us. The Lord make His face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of His countenance upon us and give us peace, now and always. Amen.
Please be seated. Proceedings are resumed.
Administration of oaths or affirmations.
None.
Reading by the Honourable Speaker, messages and announcements.
None.
Presentation of petitions.
None.
Presentation of papers and of reports. Annual report of the Standing Public Accounts Committee for the 2015-16 session of the Legislative Assembly, to be laid on the table by the elected member for Northside, Chairman of the Standing Public Accounts Committee.
Recognized honourable member from the District of Northside, Chairman of the Standing Accounts Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg today on the table of this Honourable House the annual report for 2015-16 of the Standing Public Accounts Committee.
So ordered. Does the honourable member wish to speak to the report?
Just briefly, Madam Speaker, to thank the members of the committee for turning up to all the meetings that we actually scheduled, and also to thank the staff of the Legislative Assembly for their assistance and the Office of the Auditor General. Also to say, Madam Speaker, that unfortunately we completed the public hearings on a number of reports, but the resources available in the Legislative Assembly did not allow for the preparation of the reports. Those were reports on the management of the Nation Building Fund, National Land Development, Government Real Estate, Financial and Performance Reporting Statutory Authorities, Government Companies, Finance and Performance Reporting Entire Public Sector, Financial and Performance Reporting Ministries, Portfolios and Offices, Government IT Security, and Collecting of Government Revenue. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I wish to move a motion in accordance with the relevant standing orders that those reports be carried forward to the next session of the Legislative Assembly so they can be tabled at that sitting. I so move the motion.
The question is that the outstanding public account reports be carried forward to the next sessions of the meeting. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, no. I believe the ayes have it. Accordingly, the reports will be carried over to the next session. I just wish to interject, honourable member, just wish for clarification from the chair, whether the resources that you found lacking, has there been a change in the number of the resources, or is it because the increase efficiency of the PSC, why the staff was not able to keep up.
Madam Speaker, I think it laid more to a demonstration that there needs to be more resources added to the current complement, and plus the idea that we still have a Hansard typist located in some other country, I also think led to some significant delays, and I'm hoping that the next budget those things will be addressed, so that because I really believe that given the work of standing committees in particular, Madam Speaker, we also added 2 committees, the one on the independence of Parliament and review of the Standing Orders Committee, really taxed the resources that the Parliament currently has, and I don't think it was entirely a lack of non-performance by those people charged. I think it had a lot to do with the resources were simply just not enough to complete all the things they had to do.
Thank you for the clarification.
Annual report of the Public Service Pension Board, the fiscal year ended 30th of June 2015, to be laid on the table by the Honourable Deputy Governor, ex officio member responsible for the civil service.
I recognize the Honorable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on the table of this Honourable House the annual report for the Public Service Pension Board as of 30th of June 2015.
So ordered. Does the Honorable Deputy Governor wish to speak to this report?
Yes, Madam Speaker, just briefly. Thank you, sir. I shall offer a brief explanation of the annual report and will then speak to the specifics of the financial statements as of 30th of June 2015. The growth of the fund. The Public Service Pension Fund continues to remain in good financial health. The fund holds a diversified portfolio of bonds and equity securities that, over the long term, provides above average returns with minimized variability. Although the fund remains underfunded, the actuaries determined that the liability for inactive members, which are existing pensioners and beneficiaries and those with deferred pensions, is sufficiently covered by available assets. It should be noted that the full liability for additional defined benefit cost is borne by each respective employer. As of the 30th of June 2015, the net assets available for benefits stood at just over $511.4 million, which represents an approximate increase of $27.5 million, or 6% in net assets available for benefits from the 30th of June 2014. The market value of the fund, inclusive of local and foreign investment, at the same time was approximately $509.4 million, representing an increase of just over $32 million from the 30th of June 2014. Other key financial information in respect of the Public Service Pension Board for the year ending 30th of June 2015 are as follows. The total contributions to the pension plan over the 12-month period is $39.8 million. Total benefits paid to participants is $34.8 million. Total investment income is $29.7 million. Total operating income is $161,000. The operating and investment expense is $8.5 million. And the actual present value of accumulated plan benefits based on the actuarial valuation as of 1st of January 2014 is $624.2 million. The fund deficit using assets of 30th of June 2015 and the actual valuation of 1st of January 2014 is $112.9 million. Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to say that the Auditor General issued an unqualified opinion on the financial position of the Public Service Pension Board as of 30th of June 2015. The Auditor General has stated that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the Public Service Pension Board. Madam Speaker, in closing, just to say that the Auditor General has been critical in the past of the government's inability to get annual reports tabled down at this Parliament, and I am very pleased to say that over the last, just in this sitting alone, I think we have, as a government, has tabled at least 2 or 3 of our annual reports, and a vast number will also be tabled next month. So thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions to honourable ministers and members of the cabinet. The elected member for Northside to ask the honourable Minister of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure. Question number 60.
Recognize the honourable member for the District of Northside.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to ask Honourable Minister of Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing and Infrastructure the following question standing in my name. Can the Honourable Minister give an update on the removal of the rock fence infringements into the gazetted road reserve for further road in Northside?
Recognize the Honourable Premier firstly to remove the suspension of Standing Order 23.7 and 8 to allow question time to go beyond 11 a.m. and then respond to the question, please.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of standing orders 23.7 and 8 in order that question time may continue beyond the hour of 11 o'clock.
The question is that Standing Order 23.7 and 8 be suspended to allow question time to continue beyond the hour of 11 a.m. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Against, no. The ayes have it. Standing Order 23.7 and 8 has been suspended. I recognize the Honourable Minister responsible for planning.
Madam Speaker, thank you. The matter is ongoing and has not been resolved. Madam Speaker, the NRA wrote to the involved parties on 2 occasions. Those occasions being the 10th of January and the 13th of March, 2013, with proposed solutions. However, nothing seems to have been concluded at that time, and given that the member has brought the matter to light, my ministry has requested that the NRA readdresses this issue with a view to resolving the matter once and for all. Madam Speaker, if the member so desires, I'm quite happy to read both of those letters. Thank you. Madam Speaker, the letter of January 10th reads, we refer to the original encroachment notice sent to you via registered. Don't tell me what to do. We refer to the original encroachment notice sent to you via registered mail on April 16, 2012. It is attached for ease of reference. We act on account of public complaints to advise you that the planters/landscaping which align the strip of land in front of your residence, please see attached schematic, is deemed as a road encroachment under Section 16 of the Roads Law, 2005 revision. Pursuant to Section 17 of the Roads Law, you are hereby directed to have the encroachment removed within 2 weeks of the date of this letter. However, the NRA shall take further action, otherwise rather, the NRA shall take further action as prescribed by the said law. You are advised that pursuant to Section 21 of the Roads Law, failure to comply with an encroachment notice is classified as an offense and carries a penalty of up to $5,000 and to imprisonment for up to 6 months. Please contact the undersigned at the NRA offices should you have any questions. That's the letter of January 10th, Madam Speaker. And just to say to you, I hear the requests to call names. I don't deem that to be proper, and unless you direct me to, I won't. Because I think the point is not who, but the point is what. Madam Speaker, I do not have a problem laying these on the table. I'm not about to just publicly call the name, that's all. I don't have a problem laying them.
So ordered. Sarge.
I have to finish the other letter. Madam Speaker, the letter of March 13th reads, we refer to the original encroachment notice sent to you via registered mail on April 6th, 2012, with a follow-up notice on January the 10th, 2013. If this final notice dated March 13th, 2013 is not complied with, the NRA will take action. We act on behalf of public complaints to advise you that the planters/landscaping which align the strip of land in front of your residence, please see attached schematic, is deemed as a road encroachment under Section 16 of the Roads Law 2005 revision, which states, the following are for the purposes of this law encroachment on a road. A, any fence erected upon or extending on or over any public road. B, any tree or shrub projecting upon, overhanging, fallen upon, placed or planted upon any such road. Pursuant to Section 17(1) of the Roads Law 2005 revision, which states, wherever there exists any encroachment on a public road, the owner or occupier of the land or thing from which such encroachments proceeds, or the owner of the thing constituting the encroachment, shall, after receiving a notice thereof in writing from the Roads Authority, forthwith remove or abate the same at his own cost, and in the event of non-compliance with such a notice by the owner or occupier, as the case may be, the Roads Authority may cause the encroachment to be removed in such a manner as the authority may think fit. So, you are hereby directed to have the encroachment removed by the 29th day of March 2013. Otherwise, the NRA shall take action to remove the said encroachment on that date. Please note, pursuant to Section 17(2) of the Roads Law 2005 revision, which states, wherever the Roads Authority directs the removal of an encroachment under subsection 1, A, the Roads Authority may, without giving notice, authorize any persons to enter upon any land for the purpose of removing the encroachment. And B, neither the Roads Authority nor any person authorized by the authority shall be liable for any damage occasioned by the removal unless the same is caused by such person's willful neglect or default. The cost of removal shall be defrayed by the person responsible for the encroachment and shall be recoverable as a civil debt. And anything constituting the encroachment shall be forfeited, and the Roads Authority may sell or otherwise dispose of it unless the owner redeems it by paying the costs of the removal, without prejudice to the penal and civil liabilities of any persons responsible for an encroachment. The NRA shall act in accordance to that section. You are hereby advised that pursuant to Section 21 of the Roads Law, failure to comply with an encroachment notice is classified as an offense and carries a penalty of up to $5,000 and imprisonment for up to 6 months. Please contact the undersigned at the NRA offices should you have any questions. And Madam Speaker, I'm not making more of a deal of this than it is, but I just wanted the member to understand what had transpired. The other thing that occurred during this time, Madam Speaker, is that it appears from the file provided by the NRA that there were lots of dialogue between the parties, but no resolution. The NRA had actually proposed 3 options or solutions, and in short, it ranged from land swap through to making the road 30 feet. And it appears that a land swap was the most feasible option. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, I was not aware of any of this until the question was asked. So I will simply follow it up. And now that the member is with clear steer as to what the state of play is, I give the commitment. If I have to meet with the parties, I certainly will do so to try to get the matter resolved in as least painful a way as possible, but certainly to get it resolved.
Recognize the member from North Side for supplementary.
Through you, Madam Speaker, is the member aware that these infringements still exist today, 3 years after those notices were fined? And can the member say why the landowner has not been prosecuted as provided in the law?
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, as my substantive answer says, nothing has been resolved. With regards to why nothing has happened, I can't answer that. That is part of what I will find out. But suffice it to say, Madam Speaker, that I agree the matter needs to be resolved, and I will do everything to ensure that the matter is resolved, hopefully without having to resort to the nuclear option.
Honorable member from North Side.
Madam Speaker, I understand what the minister is saying, and I respect his ability to negotiate. But had this been one of my less well-off North Side residents, the full weight of the law would have been brought down upon their head. The question I have is, how can this person knowingly, deliberately, intentionally refuse to comply with the law, and he's not prosecuted in accordance with the law? Because, Madam Speaker, the land swap proposed by NRA is a problem, because the man has fences in the roadway on both sides. And somewhere along the line, some wicker had to be removed.
Honorable Minister for Planning.
Madam Speaker, I am very hopeful that the member from North Side will respect the timelines that I went to pains to indicate. So it would not be unfair for him to understand me saying, I can't answer that, because I was not aware of any of it until the question was asked. However, as I said, I will find out all that needs to be found out. I can't comment because I don't know whether this situation, being as it is, with another party involved, whether something else would have been done, that would only be sort of conjecture on my part. But what I'm saying one more time is I'm going to follow the matter up, and I'm going to make sure that the matter is resolved. Further than that, Madam Speaker, I would ask him not to goad me into trying to say anything more that I really can't answer.
I'll allow one more supplementary from the North Side member.
Well, Madam Speaker, just give me a minute to decide which one of the 10 I'm going to ask. Because, Madam Speaker, members here would not be aware of how dangerous the situation is. The Northside School bus driver refuses to go in there because the road has been made so narrow to pick up children for the Northside School. The garbage truck goes in there, and the only reason somebody, one of the residents who live in there, and I know I'm making a statement, but indulge me a minute, please, has not been killed by that garbage truck is because to this point, they haven't met on that corner. Because the day that they do, whoever's driving the car, they're going to go with a plastic bag, pick them up. And Madam Speaker, will the minister commit to providing the funds in the 2016-17 budget to build this road out properly to the 30 feet for safety reasons, including removing these rock fences that infringe on both sides of the road opposite each other? And then, Madam Speaker, the man parks his car in the road.
Member from North Side, are you asking him to commit or to consider? Honorable Minister for Infrastructure.
Madam Speaker, I want to say that I quite understand the members' frustrations. Haven't gone that direction for a little while, but I will look at it so that I can have a good feel for what the situation is. I will do that. I will get the matter resolved. I could be mischievous, Madam Speaker, and say that I only wish it had been brought to my attention before now. But it is what it is. We are where we are. And I would just ask the member to allow me to do everything that I can to deal with it. And the commitment that he seeks, I can give that commitment. Just bear in mind, it may well come out of your road funds for the district. Just letting you know. Once that's the case, then we're good. And I think he's finished now, Madam Speaker. You can go on to the next one. Thank you very much.
I did tell him that was his last supplementary. Madam Clerk.
The elected member for Northside to ask the Honourable Minister of Financial Services, Commerce and Environment, question number 61.
I recognize the Honourable Member from North Side.
Madam Speaker, I beg to ask the Honourable Minister of Financial Services, Commerce and Environment the following question standing in my name. Can the Honourable Minister give an update on the spear gun licensing regime?
Recognize the Honourable Minister for Financial Services and Environment.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the answer, Part 5, permits and licenses. The section dealing with permits and licenses of the National Conservation Law has not yet been commenced. However, the Department of Environment and the National Conservation Council have been working through the preparation of a variety of licensing directives, including those necessary to give effect to the new spear gun licensing regime. The government is aiming to commence Part 5 of the law by June 2016. Thank you.
If There are no supplementaries. Member from Northside.
Madam Speaker, just for clarity, is the minister saying that the spear gun licensing regime will be in place by June 2016? And if you could put a date on that, 1st of June or the 30th of June?
Honorable Minister for the Environment.
Madam Speaker, through you, thank you. The member is as persistent as I am consistent in my response on this. He's asked this question a number of times. But definitely we are saying that the commencement of, actually hopefully it's parts 5 and part 7 of the National Conservation Law will occur in June. I think we're looking at, I don't remember the exact date, Madam Speaker, but I think it's sometime around the middle of June. I think it's like the 22nd or somewhere thereabouts. And at that point, hopefully, once that part is commenced, then the council will have the authority to adopt the directives that they have been working on in draft form. Thank you.
If no supplementaries, we'll move on to the next question.
The elected member for Northside to ask the Honourable Minister of Financial Services, Commerce and Environment, question number 62.
Recognize the Honorable Member from Northside.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to ask the Honourable Minister of Financial Services, Commerce and Environment the following question standing in my name. Can the Honourable Minister give an update on the plans to address the sand offshore at Sandpoint?
Recognize the Minister responsible for the Environment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The answer. The particular area of coastline in question has been experiencing the southward migration of a sand spit thrown up by Hurricane Ivan in 2004. This is not the first time we've seen this happen on this particular coast, as we have experienced a similar phenomenon after Hurricane Gilbert in 1988. In fact, the sand spit seen in 2004 aerial photography in the Lands and Survey database is the remnant of the Gilbert spit. The Ministry of Environment and the Department of Environment have strongly recommended against registering these new boundaries on the basis that the accretion is not the result of a normal coastal process, but rather has resulted from a perturbation caused by hurricanes, and any temporary accumulation of sand at one of these coastal parcels today will simply migrate in a relatively short period of time. It is widely held common practice within the islands that coastal boundaries cannot be recorded as fixed, but are rather recorded and registered as general boundaries, meaning the boundary of a coastal parcel will vary from day to day. For an in-depth discussion on the technicalities of fixed boundaries versus general boundaries, I would defer to the Chief Surveyor or Director of Lands and Survey, the Director of the Lands and Survey Department. We remain of the view that the boundaries of coastal parcels should remain being recorded and registered as general boundaries. We have expressed our views on this matter to the Ministry of Lands and the Director of Lands and of the Lands and Survey Department, whose responsibility it is ultimately to record and register each parcel boundary. Thank you.
Recognize Member from Northside for a supplementary.
Madam Speaker, the Minister refers to coastal boundaries as general boundaries. Can the Minister confirm that certain landowners in the area have in fact applied to have their boundaries extended, the general boundary extended
to include these sand spits.
Recognize Minister for the Environment, the Minister for Planning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Even in a roundabout fashion, he won't ease me today. Madam Speaker, the fact is, if the member is speaking directly to those properties where the spit is, there have been 2 applications to extend what I would call the seaward boundary. There have been specific discussions with the surveyor of the landowner, because I think originally it was 1 application, and then the next door neighbor said, well, if you do, I may as well do 2. So it was 1 surveyor involved. The surveyor quite understands that survey is not going to be registered. The landowner has accepted that what they have requested will not be registered as it was. The Lands and Survey Department have sat with the surveyor, and they have agreed on the general boundary, which was, and I don't want to get tied up here, but it is not exact, but it is approximately where the original one was. I think it is just a matter for shape.
Is it dock in the water or not in the water?
The dock is not in the water, but in the sand.
No, but the new boundary. Their boundary.
You mean will the dock be within the new boundary? I don't want to say yes or no, but I don't think so, because I know that when the Director of Lands and Survey spoke to me, he was quite satisfied with the reasonableness of the surveyor. I can get copies of what has been proposed for the member to see, but I'm not 100% sure of exactly what. But that being the case, I think that in itself, Madam Speaker, is only a temporary solution for that. However, it sets a good precedent for anyone else who might come in the meantime until matters resolved properly. But at least we got through that first hump so that you don't have a slew of them applying. And I do know that cohorts inter-ministry are, including planning, are with discussions to decide on a course of action, which I'm certain the Minister for Environment and myself will have to make some final decisions once we get the recommendations. I think the member knows my personal position, but of course we have to be guided by some level of expertise, and we'll be willing to do that. But I do not believe that the matter should be left alone as long as it has been, again, because it's only going to create more difficult times for all of the agencies involved.
Through you, Madam Speaker, to the Minister. The Minister, I believe, is acutely aware, all too, that these landowners have in fact, and I would venture to say, are still claiming the land as their own and telling other people they can't use it. No. And they're running people off it. Huh? But through you, Madam Speaker, if Lands and Survey are confident, because I noticed the Minister didn't say he had withdrawn the application. Okay. But if Lands and Survey is confident that the proposed or agreed survey is not going to include a section of the sand spit, could the minister ask the relevant authorities in government to so inform the gentleman that he has no right to run people off what he will never own?
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, the truth of the matter is I attempted to be the guinea pig, but he wasn't there. So I give a personal undertaking, because that's what I told his surveyor that I would do, not to be rude, but to let him understand. But I have gone there on 2 occasions. I've actually sat on my bucket and threw out my line, not heard anything, and don't see any action. So I think the person comes and goes. But I will find the person and let the person know. Say what? No. They don't know who I am. They don't. All the way from West, you stay out of this. Madam Speaker, the point that I want to make, since it has gone that route, I don't mean that I'll go there and sit and wait till somebody comes out. I'm saying when I've gone there, there was no activity, and when I went and knocked, I only knocked once. I got no answer. So I know the person comes and goes. But I've had people say what the member from Northside referred to me. And it's not about being big and bad. It's a matter of clearing the issue up. I think the survey does the trick for once. I mean, for the first part, and I wanted to ensure that that was registered and done. And now we'll see where we can go with the next step.
Member from Northside.
Through you, Madam Speaker, to the Minister of Environment, will the Minister of Environment confirm or undertake that once agreement is sorted out on the seaward general boundary for this land, the environment will support, the Department of Environment will support the removal of the sand so as to create a real seaward boundary for him?
Honorable Minister for the Environment, I'm not sure where you're in a position to answer that, but the discretion is up to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wouldn't want the wrong Madam Speaker, wouldn't want the wrong perspective to be taken if I didn't answer. But let me say that while I agree and understand the member's perspective and motivation, and perhaps I might to some extent share that, we have to recognize that this is a natural process that is ongoing. And I think, I don't know, it would have to be discussed as to whether or what the impact of this might be, but I suspect quite strongly that if we were to interfere with a natural process, there may be unforeseen consequences in respect of that, which may have other impacts on adjoining landowners, for example. So there would be there would be, I think, a view to take a conservative approach in respect of it, to try to avoid unforeseen consequences. That, I think, is the best I can tell the member at this point.
Honorable Member from Northside.
Through you, Madam Speaker, can the Minister of Environment confirm that all of this land there is a result of dredging which altered the original coastline? And whether or not the Department of Environment recognizes the need particularly in this area, to re-dredge the sand in order to preserve the water, the entranceway that the people inside the cove who have very expensive houses, bought very expensive land, and I would humbly suggest to the minister that if he just lets nature take its course, those people can soon be living on a lake and not have any access to the sea.
Honorable Minister for the Environment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think everybody knows, certainly the member well knows, that, of course, what exists in that area at this point is a result of dredging 30, 40, maybe 50 years ago. I don't remember the exact, probably not 50 years, but maybe more than that. But certainly in that whole area, as I was a young boy, dredging was still going on in that area. But anyway, the point is, Madam Speaker, that the point is, of course it wasn't. Madam Speaker, the point is that what we have today is the result of dredging a long time ago, many decades ago. It doesn't change the fact, however, Madam Speaker, that even in the altered form that we have had for decades now, there are natural processes that occur. The dynamics of the movement of sand in the area have clearly been affected by disruptive events like hurricanes and storms. And the question that the member has asked, Madam Speaker, was whether the department would support removing the sand from where it is currently. And the indication I have made is that while the department is willing to consider that, there is some concern that removing that sand as it is currently might have an impact, a disruptive impact on neighboring lands. If the member is now asking, Madam Speaker, whether a continuation of what has been happening in terms of the dynamics of the sand moving down to the south, and if that continues and it starts to impede the entrance and it looks likely to block the entrance to the cove, then that is clearly a separate question, and the imperatives in respect of that would be different. The potential impacts on the cove and the access to the cove would be greater than the potential impact on an adjoining landowner. So steps would be taken to seek to address that, or certainly the Department of Environment would be supportive of steps being taken to address that in terms of removal of the sand sufficient to maintain the access to the cove. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Recognized member from North Side. There being
We could go on all day, Madam Speaker, but
member from Eastern.
Department of Environment allowed trees to be
There being no further member from Eastern.
Madam Speaker, we're waiting for you to say that there being no further. And why I'm asking to be recognized is that, Madam Speaker, I believe today is the last day of this meeting, or we're hoping today to be the last. Madam Speaker, I have outstanding questions from meetings ago. And now there are 4 questions that I have submitted, and they're not answered again. Madam Speaker, there is a process that I am guided by, that I am required to follow. The government, likewise, has a process that they must follow. And members, contrary to what some may say, members have a job. We each have our own responsibilities in here. And I cannot carry mine out in the absence of the government carrying theirs out. And it's unfair, it's unreasonable, and it needs to change. And Madam Speaker, I understand that you cannot do anything about it because you are but the arbiter, the one that sits in the middle. But it's wrong that I have all these questions on behalf of my constituency. The government holds the answers, and they won't answer the questions for the people. They think we are just asking questions. Madam Speaker, I have 4 questions submitted in April. 13th of April.
I can assure you, member from Easton, that the clerk and the staff have sent them up to the respective ministries and or portfolios.
Oh, I don't doubt that, Madam Speaker. I don't doubt that. But we can't have the deputy governor come down here saying that the civil service is so good and the questions on the answers are not being provided for the ministers, unless they are being provided to the ministers, and the ministers, I putting blame here right now, and the ministers refusing to answer it.
So are you going to turn that into a question?
No, Madam Speaker, there's no question. This is between matters that I wanted to be recognized, and I want the public to know, and my constituency to know, that I'm asking questions on their behalf, because this is the only place to do it. I have one to the finance and economic development. I have 3 to the Minister for Planning, Lands, Agriculture, Housing, and Infrastructure, all related, at least 2 of them, related directly to my constituencies. And nothing is being forthcoming. Madam Speaker, the government needs to answer and tell us where the blame lies, because this needs to stop.
Recognize Honorable Premier.
Madam Speaker, I apologize to the member for those questions not being answered, the reasons for which I don't know, but we will inquire. But we had some 58 questions, and I think we've answered about 95% of them in the days we've been here. It's a mere 2 weeks until, or thereabouts, until the House begins again. And I hope that we can, and I am prepared to do that now, move the necessary motion that whatever outstanding questions there are will be carried forward to the next meeting rather than simply being answered in writing, because I know members would prefer, because I know I used to, that they are able to ask their questions publicly and have the opportunity to ask supplementary questions. So, Madam Speaker, I would move that motion now and hope that the House will agree.
Member from Easton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Premier for that. However, there are many outstanding questions that has been dead now for years. This is but 4 that I have for this session, and I appreciate the Premier saying that, because this is politics. I keep telling you, there's no steeple out there. No Sunday school church here. I want it to be heard in here. I don't want unwritten.
The question is that the questions that remain unanswered as of the close of this meeting be carried over to the next session. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The unanswered questions will all be carried on to the next session. Madam Clerk.
Statements by the honourable members and ministers of the Cabinet.
Recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to address a most erroneous and misleading editorial in today's Caymanian Compass. Under the sensationalized title, the EY report, Requiem for Recommendations, the editorial team has chosen to voice opinions that are in no way based on fact, but demonstrate a willful misunderstanding of the work of the government and the civil service in relation to the Project Future program. Madam Speaker, I am fully cognizant that an editorial is an opinion piece, but that does not give a so-called reputable publication a license to ignore the facts. They have also chosen to launch a personal, unwarranted, and unjustified attack on a very capable senior civil servant, Mrs. Mary Rodriguez, and by extension, the civil service senior management team that is delivering these projects. Madam Speaker, Project Future establishes for the first time a comprehensive and far-reaching program of public sector reform, which will drive the efficiency and effectiveness of public services. The agenda for change has been set by this government's political priorities. In that context, the government has welcomed the EY report as a useful stimulus to its thinking, providing a helpful challenge to existing ways of working. However, the EY report does not dictate the Project Future agenda, as the editorial team seems to believe. Madam Speaker, with intention of speaking fact as compared to fiction, it should be acknowledged that the Project Future program will see the implementation in full or modified form of the majority of the EY recommendations and a number of other recommendations. In November 2015, this government published the Project Future program brief. At the time, I explained that the projects would be tackled in 5 phases to be implemented over the next 5 years. Work has commenced on numerous projects. Some will be completed before the 2017 election, while others are not expected to be delivered until after the elections. I also explained then, and I do so again, that it is right for the government to take a long-term view and to put in place the delivery of the reforms this country needs. If we remain bound to electoral cycles, we remain bound to short-term action that will not tackle some of the fundamental issues we face. Our country needs more than that. Our country deserves better than that. And that is why this progressives-led government is setting out a clear plan of future action. Madam Speaker, in the Project Future program brief, I also identified some 16 recommendations from the EY report that would not be implemented because they clearly conflicted with our policy. For example, recommendations to raise levies that would clearly run counter to the commitment of this administration to seek to cut rather than raise levies and charges. For those who wonder what those mean, taxes. We also excluded recommendations where the analysis indicated that the benefits were not insufficient to justify taking the ideas forward. The benefits were not sufficient to justify taking the ideas forward. Madam Speaker, this is open, transparent, and responsible government in action. Madam Speaker, the Compass editorial today reserves its most vitriolic comments for Mrs. Rodriguez, whom it seems to hold personally responsible for implementing the key recommendations of the report, while insinuating that this government's support for Project Future is less than enthusiastic. While I suspect, Madam Speaker, that they know better, let me make clear the actual governance structure for Project Future. We, the elected government, are the decision makers. We have selected the projects to be explored, and we decide which business cases documents are approved. The Deputy Governor and his chief officers are responsible for implementation. Mrs. Rodriguez and the Strategic Reforms Implementation Unit are responsible for developing the implementation strategy and providing tools and guidance to help chief officers and their teams deliver the projects. Madam Speaker, the SRIU has delivered in this role and continues to work to support the work of the civil service. Already their work has already earned the regard of external consultants and officials from other overseas territories. It has been 5 months since I and the Deputy Governor launched the Project Future program in November 2015. While there has been a significant learning curve for government and the civil service alike, and we have faced some challenges, as a government we have declared our objectives and we are making progress. Here is but a brief snapshot of the work which is underway in various stages. That is, either in preparing business case documents, project planning, or project execution. 13 of 17 of the Phase 1 projects, 7 of 9 of the Phase 2 and 3 projects, 11 of 18 of the Phase 4 projects, and 2 of 7 of the Phase 5 projects. Madam Speaker, it has always been my intention to continue to provide public updates on Project Future at key milestones. I am therefore pleased to announce that we are preparing a formal update on progress this month, which will commence with my contributions to the budget address and will extend to a formal publication which will be circulated to all media houses. Madam Speaker, I will ensure that the publication is in clear, plain language, which even the editorial board of the Compass will be unable to misinterpret. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I recognize the Honorable Minister responsible for Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm asking for a few moments to get copies to circulate to members. I don't have those as yet.
Are you in a position to use yours, or is your copy going to be
No, it would
used
be
for the copy?
it would be the same as what I have written here, Madam Speaker. Oh, sorry. Yes. I need mine to read. And this is what they would have the copy from.
All right, we'll take a short suspension.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.